Ahoy mateys, and welcome to Starter Quest, a podcast where we look at classic video games through the eyes of a newcomer. I am your host and captain of the ship, Alessandro Crolla, alongside my treasure of a first mate and the star of this podcast, Jen Hughes.
Ahoy there, me hearties.
How are you doing today?
Pretty well, yeah. Got a nice cup of coffee in my hands from your lovely coffee machine.
As we speak, we are less than a mile away from the COP26 summit that's happening in Glasgow this week. History is happening on our doorstep, and we're stuck inside talking about video games.
Yeah, isn't that the human condition?
Have you been playing anything fun recently?
Yes, there's an update for Animal Crossing coming soon.
Yes, it's out this Friday.
It's out this Friday. I am so hyped. It can't come fast enough.
What have you been doing to set up your island?
I have been gathering all the bells and the Nook Miles, because with this one you're going to need a lot of Nook Miles. There's so many items you can redeem. I'm collecting like ingredients for cooking. I think there's a whole bunch coming out, but there's also a chance you'll be able to make stuff with fish and sea creatures and things.
Yes, the meaning has returned to the 5 people still playing Animal Crossing.
There will be a lot more with this update. There's a lot more added to the game, which is getting all the community super galvanised.
Yeah, I have to admit, I've been playing too, actually. I finally arisen from my 7-month Odin sleep that I've been in to the amazement of all my villagers, all of them shielding their eyes as Jesus has returned to smite the non-believers and start the revelation.
And asking, "Where have you been, Alex? It's been 7 months. I was worried about you. Are you mad at me? Have you been doing stuff that I'm missing out on?" Well, in any case, it's really nice to see you. Welcome back.
Yeah, that's kind of exactly what I got.
Outside of that, though, what else have you been playing?
I completed Deathloop. I actually had quite a lot of fun with that one. Quite disappointed that there was only one way to solve the game. I kind of preferred if there was more. But now I'm playing through Guardians of the Galaxy, which I'm having an okay time with. It's not the best game in the world, but better than the shitey Avengers one last year.
Yeah, I think I watched you play the Avengers one, and not only was it very strange seeing the game characters not look like the actors at all, but it also just looked a bit boring.
Yeah, it wasn't the best. This is about a half step better, but it's still a bit dull in places. It's kind of weird. It feels like the ultimate Square Enix game. It's got a little bit from Final Fantasy VII, a little bit from Life is Strange, a little bit from Tomb Raider, and it's all been put together into this one game.
I'm just imagining this scene at the end of the game where Groot has to choose between saving the town from a big hurricane or letting his friend Rocket Raccoon die getting shot at the hands of some asshole drug dealer.
See, that's so perfect because I kind of can see the similarity between Groot and Max Caulfield. Okay, getting back to the episode. We're getting started with our second episode today, and we're going to play The Secret of Monkey Island. I feel it's important that we tackle this game on our second episode, as it establishes a lot about what this podcast will be. This is not the Nintendo podcast. This is not the platforming podcast. And I do want to look at games like this, which have this massive cult following but aren't widely recognised.
You want to give me a varied curriculum.
Absolutely. I think I know people who have said that Secret of Monkey Island is their favourite video game of all time. So it's got a love. Do not get me wrong, this is a loved game. But I'm not too sure what you'll already know about this.
Yeah, I've heard lots of good things about the game, especially from a YouTuber called Scarfulu. I love his stuff, he's really sweet.
Do you know what type of game this is?
Yes, it's a point-and-click adventure game.
A point-and-click adventure game. Have you ever played one before?
I played a few educational games for kids. I don't know if anyone else remembers this, but in the UK, in like the early 2000s, as part of your free toys and your kids' cereal, instead of getting like some plastic piece of shit, you got an educational disc There were the Horrible Histories audiobooks, narrated by Terry Deary himself, which are iconic. I think they've been uploaded to YouTube. Highly recommend those.
Sadly, by that point, I was long past children's cereal, which is a real shame because it's always so tasty.
Yeah.
Just a week ago, I had my niece staying over for a while and she left a box of Cocoa Pops. That was fun to finish.
Yes. But the point and click ones I played, there was the Human Body Explorer, which was like all about human...
That sounds so dirty.
It does, but it's all about exploring the human anatomy and stuff, and
With your tongue.
And not that kind of anatomy, Sandro.
Right, okay.
Get your head out the gutter.
Okay.
And there's also the Science Explorer, where you point and clicked in like a few different rooms, and it took you to different places, and you get badges. There's walkthroughs on it on YouTube somewhere, which were a nice walk down memory lane. Right,
so these games, I just want to get my head around what this game involved in. Was there puzzles you solved? Was there items you collected? What did you do?
I think with Science Explorer, as I said, there were the badges, and I think there were items as part of that, but you didn't really do very much. It was just like get all the badges and you've completed the game. The same went with Human Body Explorer.
It's too easy, isn't it?
It's far too easy. They really open themselves up for a whole bunch of
exploring
weird
hands.
jokes.
A bit of body exploration, if you get my drift, eh?
Grin, grin, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, say no more.
You did say that it would be a pretty simplistic control, because you're just using the mouse.
There's no physical skill to this game, it's all mental skill.
See, you told me that about Super Mario Bros. 3. You said it was going to be a simple platformer. I'm going to psych myself up for some Street Fighter 5 type button mashes.
Right, I promise you,
Click, 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 click.
There's timing puzzles and that's the worst of it.
I'll take your word for it. The other point and click adventure games I know about are like Broken Sword and the Dracula games.
Love Broken Sword. Genuinely Broken Sword. One of my favourite adventure games. I would love to look at them on the podcast, but not for a while.
Yeah.
So, what do you know about the Secret of Monkey Island?
I know that there's a Monkey Island.
Mm-hmm.
It has secrets.
Right, no, you can't just look at the fucking title and base it all from there.
No. Alright, in all seriousness, I know that on this Monkey Island, there are pirates, or people who want to be pirates.
So you know it's a pirate adventure.
Yeah.
Off the top of your head, who is your favourite pirate in real life? Or fiction, actually. I don't mind.
Oh, I think Extra History did an episode on her. She was Chinese. She started off as a prostitute and eventually worked her way up to captaining a fleet of pirate ships.
Ooh. Oh, God, what was her name? Give me a second, I'm going to Google it. Cheng Yi Sao is what I'm finding online.
Yeah, I feel so bad for forgetting her name because it's real feminist history, actually.
I'm surprised you didn't say Steve. No, sorry, Steed Bonnet.
Yeah, it's so easy to think it's Steve Bonnet because, like, who names their Wayne Steeb?
Steed.
Exactly, Steed. Who names their Wayne Steed?
I don't know. Someone who wanted a horse for a son. He's a good steed, so he is.
Someone who relies on autocorrect, clearly. We kind of know about him because Internet Historian did a video on him in one of his Sundance rejects.
Steed!
Kind of realising a childhood dream with becoming a pirate. I had a pirate alter ego when I was 7 or 8 called Red-Handed Deborah.
Sorry to break it to you, we all wanted to be pirates when we were kids.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm particularly special, but my pirate had, like, a full name and everything.
Yeah, that's fair. I was just a pirate.
Just a pirate.
Yeah, he was just named Pirate. Maybe I just imagine him being Jonathan Davies from Corn's son, because he named his son Pirate.
Oh, no. Who names their Wayne Pirate? That's worse than Steed. I get that mixed up. Steed.
So, you know it's about pirates.
Yes. I've got my punnet of oranges to stop me from getting scurvy, and we've got a bottle of rum that we can get torn into tonight as we're playing.
Yeah, leftover from Halloween.
It was also, was it not something that really heavily inspired the Pirates of the Caribbean films?
See, I've been doing a minimal amount of research before we started recording, and that statement is both unfair and kind of accurate.
How that? That's a bit contradictory.
I'll explain more in the second half.
Okay. Okay, I'm intrigued.
So, you know it's to do with pirates, and you know it has a tentative connection to Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yes.
How are you expecting that influence from Pirates of the Caribbean to impact the story?
I don't know. I really don't know. I'm assuming there will be like the scallywag pirate who's always drunk and gets into mischief. There's Gleekit guy who wants to be a pirate and tries to be a pirate, but never seems to sell the fact he's a pirate.
Of those two, which do you think is the main character of the game?
I think it's very bold for you to assume that it's either one of the two men that are the main character. I was literally about to mention the character Keira Knightley plays, who also has quite a story arc, probably being more of a pirate than Will Turner.
But then becoming a whimpering simp who waits on a beach for once a year when her boyfriend shows up.
Yeah. I mean, clearly that Will Turner sex is just too much to resist.
But they have a kid in one of the later movies, I'm pretty sure.
Do they?
Yeah, because that's what the fifth movie's about.
I didn't even know there was a fifth movie. I tuned out after the fourth one.
We fucking watched it in the cinema together.
That's how forgettable it is. Right, I knew my memory is bad, but I can't believe that I forgot not only that the fifth film existed, but also that we went to see it.
Now, to be fair, it was one of those times that we're in the centre of town, we had 4 hours to kill, and we went to just watch a movie. It could have been fucking anything, but we watched the fifth Pirates of the Caribbean, and it was dog shit.
See, is that the one with Penelope Cruz?
I can't fucking remember. I just know that I've seen this movie. I couldn't fucking tell you what it's about. Right, we are going around the houses on the subject, but you're making it sound like you don't know much about Secret of Monkey Island.
I actually don't know anything about Secret Monkey Island.
Really? Not even who the main character is, or...
No, but I do know they were made by LucasArts.
Okay, so you know the game is made by... Admittedly, it's not LucasArts yet. It's actually Lucasfilm Games.
Ah.
They don't become LucasArts until the second game.
Yeah.
So you know that it's made by LucasArts, and do you know their big famous connection to the world of cinema?
Yes, I'm assuming LucasArts, or whatever it was called before that, was founded by George Merchandising Rights Lucas.
Yeah, yes. He is the one who created the company. Now, at the time, there was so many branches to the Lucasfilm, THX and Industrial Light and Magic and Skywalker Studios.
Oh, is THX the one that go, nee?
The audience is now deaf.
Yes, that is part of the Lucasfilm kind of stable at the time. Okay, so outside of midichlorian man George Lucas, is there any other famous names from LucasArts that you know?
No, not really.
Really? So you don't know Ron Gilbert, Dave Grossman, Tim Schafer?
No.
Oh, that's a surprise. That's a real surprise. I thought at least Tim Schafer will have, just penetrated the collective psyche enough. Which
penetrated.
Also, now that I just hear that sentence said out loud, greatly describes another game he's famous for, but that's for another day.
Not Leisure Suit Larry.
No! Oh, God, no.
This is the first thing I thought of, like, weird sex games from the 80s.
Okay, the phrase I said was penetrated the mind. Get your fucking filthy thoughts out of there.
Like, you can talk. Here, Human Bot Explorer, get some hands in there.
You don't know who the main character of this game is then. I'm trying to use that comparison to Pirates of the Caribbean to see if you can maybe clue into what you expect of any of the characters in this game.
Well, no, I don't know anything about them other than the fact that they are probably monkeys.
So you think that Monkey Island is just the island of monkey people?
I mean, I know that we're all monkeys, really, but, like, I think the pirates on the Monkey Island are the monkiest of monkeys. So, as far as I know, the main character is called, like, Bubbles the fucking chimp or something.
Oh, God. No.
I mean,
No.
it would be funny, but I'm probably wrong.
No, his name is about 5% less ridiculous than that.
Just 5%.
I'm sold on just 5%.
Oh, boy.
You'll see it when you see it. Then what are you expecting from this game?
I point and click things, and I solve some puzzles,
Okay.
and a bit of a hoot and a holler.
What kind of tone are you expecting from this?
I'm expecting it to be quite fun. One of the vibes I got from Scarfulu was that the game was quite fun. and the characters are quirky and stuff.
Are you think it's going to be more on the levels of Mario of being quite childish and very friendly?
I imagine it being funnier than Mario, because Mario's like fun, but it's not like comedy.
Yeah.
But I'm expecting this to have a bit of comedy to it.
Right, okay. Oh, I don't know how you're going to feel with this one. This is either going to be a game you can't wrap your head around, or you'll fucking love it. Admittedly, I didn't play Secret of Monkey Island until the special edition release around 2009. Though that's not to say I have no exposure to the LucasArts adventure games of the time. Growing up, I was a massive fan of the Indiana Jones games they did. First The Last Crusade, but then The Fate of Atlantis, which I fucking loved.
The Last Crusade one is based on the movie.
Yeah, you literally can just copy what you do in the movie to beat the game.
But I don't remember there being a Fate of Atlantis Indiana Jones movie.
No, that was just a game.
Yeah, that'll probably be coming out in 2025.
They're already doing a reboot of the Indiana Jones movie that's due out next year.
Really?
Yeah, and he's brought his... Well, we can't have a son anymore because we cancelled that one.
His other son.
Yeah, he's brought his daughter along this time.
With a geriatric Indiana Jones. Going under the sea to find this gambling city of Atlantis.
With this episode then, I'm going to be smart and do this in the first half and go over our rules of gameplay. Rule 1 is that this time I'm not going to be doing a playthrough, I'll just be watching Jen play side by side. She'll be in full control of the game at all times, and I will just be sitting beside her watching her play. Rule 2 is that Jen can ask me for hints at any times. Thanks, GameFAQs. But I will keep my advice for when she's explored sufficiently enough that either she's missed a key item or is stumped on a solution. Number 3, Jen will be expected to finish the game. It's not very long, and I feel like if we're at the point which you want to tap out, we can just power through with me just taking over and telling you what to do.
Yeah.
The version we'll be playing, I want to play the game with the original graphics and sound design, so we're not playing the special edition. But the special edition does have voice lines that will make it a bit easier for us to play side by side. I managed to find a mod that takes the voice lines from the special edition and put it back into the original game and play what's called the Ultimate Talkie version, which is the best way to play The Secret of Monkey Island.
Right.
You do need a purchased copy of the game to run it, so it's not entirely a fake copy, but I do think it is quite on brand that we are playing a kind of pirate version of it.
It's not proper piracy if you've actually purchased the game, though, is it?
No. Okay, so you have your oranges.
Yep.
You have your bottle of rum.
Yep.
Are you ready to set sail on this adventure?
Yar!
Okay, let's get started. Welcome back. It has been 4 weeks since our first half. Better turnaround this time.
Yes.
So we'll get this faster each time we do it. I like this. So, what is your immediate thoughts on your time with The Secret of Monkey Island?
It's absolutely hilarious. I adore it.
I'm glad. I'm so glad this went well. I think the difficulty of Super Mario really had me worried that some of the choices I was making with our earlier episodes. I'm glad this one went better.
Yeah, I think so. The controls for Super Mario Bros. Are inaccessible, but it's a lot easier to navigate things with point and click. It's just a mouse. You click things and solve puzzles. It's not... You don't need as much dexterity.
I'm glad this went a lot better. I'm really glad this went a lot better.
Me too.
There was a part very early on, I'll go into better detail when we go through the game, that had you laughing so wildly that I knew I was in for a good time watching you play this.
The first part of the game, you go into the scum bar, and one of the pirates you talk to is a walking advertisement for Loom, LucasArts' previous game.
Yeah, a game that will never be covered outside of this sentence. So
yeah, sorry, Loom fans.
all three of you. That's not fair. I'm sure there's plenty of people that like Loom. Don't know who they are, but I'm sure they exist. But that advertisement had you laughing so crazily. I just knew at that moment she's going to enjoy this game.
What caught me off guard with that was the fact that there was an advertisement in-game.
Yeah, the fact the word advertisement was blinking on screen while he's ranting on about this game Loom.
I couldn't not.
I'm really glad it just got to you, because that's what this game's supposed to do. It's supposed to catch you a little off guard.
Yeah, which is good because there's a lot of stuff you'll find in there you don't expect.
We've come back to this podcast now. You are now officially a pirate.
Yar, I be a pirate.
You've even dressed like a pirate for the occasion. Something you insisted on doing, despite me saying you didn't have to, because this is not a visual podcast.
Oh no, I really wanted to. I've got my stripy top, one of my many stripy tops, and some fluffy pajama bottoms, because I am what I'd like to call a Zoom pirate. A pirate for the modern day.
Yes, just jumping on other people's Zoom calls and presenting your booty. Okay, so let's get a bit more into this game. Secret of Monkey Island was released for all the major PC platforms of the time. I'm talking the Amiga, MS-DOS, IBM, Apple, Macintosh, and Atari ST. If it could run Office programs at the time, it could probably run this game. It's very compatible. There's versions that run on the most basic of graphics to what we were playing, which was the 1992 CD edition release. We are playing a slight remaster of the original game. It's pretty much the exact same game, with the difference being slightly better graphics, less command buttons, the inventory displayed as images instead of text, and with one joke removed.
Right.
The Amiga is always something that's so close to my heart, especially here in Glasgow, where there's a very famous street market called the Barras. In the 90s, it was very famous for having pirate goods everywhere you looked. You'd find pirate movies, pirate music, and pirate games.
So, not pirate-themed music and not like Ailstorm and Pirates of the Caribbean. Pirated things.
Yes, the pirates that are out to get you.
Oh my god, that advert with like the fat guy branding all the DVDs. Doof, doof, doof. Hilarious stuff. I used to be terrified of as a kid, but I watched back and chortled so hard.
I always remember there'd be this section that would just have row upon row of floppy disks, all full of pirate Amiga games that you used to buy and take home and play. I just have this vivid image of that. When I explain stories like that, it does kind of make sense that the Commodore failed, but it's still such an iconic image in my mind.
So we are very on brand.
Yes, because we have to talk about piracy in the game about pirates.
Yes. I love me a bad boy.
I didn't do this in the first episode. I really want to start getting in the habit of asking you this question. How would you describe a point-and-click adventure game?
Well, the point and click is kind of clue in the title.
Yeah,
you point and click.
Okay, I'll start again. How would you describe an adventure game?
Well, it's an adventure. You go through a story, basically, within the game. And with a point-and-click adventure, the mechanics are mostly solving puzzles and what dialogue you choose.
I've always thought of adventure games being the games that are closest to books and films. This game is very much a film where you are the main character. You have to make the actions that move the story forward.
Yeah, you can pretty much choose to be a nice person or a complete dick. It doesn't make any difference to the story.
Yeah.
We're not at that point in gaming history, I don't think. But it's still like a little thing for you.
That is a fair point. You actually have played the very first Life is Strange game.
Yeah, Life is Strange is a game where your choices and what you say and do can actually influence the story.
Exactly. This game, for the most part, what you say doesn't matter. All that matters is that you get through the story. The element of where what you say matters to the story is going to come later in the adventure game history. But we're not at that stage yet. Here it is just a whole story about pirates that you, as a player, are trying to navigate through. Now that you've played an adventure game, do you kind of get why I was a little bit thrown of trying to work out how it compared to your cereal box games?
Yes. What I'll say for Science Explorer is that you do have things to find in each room to point and click. You do, like, your puzzles are basically your science questions, but they're still puzzles.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's just that story and that adventure to the whole thing in the adventure game, funnily enough.
The goal with Secret of Monkey Island, as we've mentioned, is to become a pirate. The goal in Science Explorer is to become a science explorer and win the approval of that little sun guy who follows you around.
Secret of Monkey Island is the opus of a man named Ron Gilbert.
Not to be confused with Welsh stand-up comedian Rod Gilbert.
No, different man, but probably the same energy, I would say. Ron Gilbert is a absolute superstar of the adventure game format. He shot to fame with his game Maniac Mansion, which he designed as being a response to adventure games at the time. Have you ever heard of something called a text adventure?
Yes, it's an adventure game. You play this right, okay, I'll stop that. So a text adventure is got your story, but instead of like clicking on things, you've got to type out commands.
Exactly.
Back in the day with your old computers, before you had computer interface, everything you wanted to do in the computer, you had to type out commands.
And at best, it would be a little obtuse, and at worst, incredibly frustrating. It was that level of obtuse and annoyance that they tried to remove from these type of games when a rival company called Sierra made King's Quest. King's Quest was great, but it still had that same problem of parsing text. You have a key and do you type put key in lock? No. Use key on door? No. Equip key? No. It's still that level of not knowing how to exactly translate the words in your head to the game.
Which is probably why you don't really see these mechanics anymore.
Not really. So when Ron Gilbert made Maniac Mansion, he created something called the Script Creation Utility for Maniac Mansion. This was a series of verbs that was put into boxes at the bottom of the screen that you could click on. So everything in the game revolves around these verbs. That is what is called the Scum Engine. The Scum Engine pioneers this entire game and what took a lot of the frustration out of adventure games. After he made Maniac Mansion, Ron Gilbert is also famous for writing an article called Why Adventure Games Suck. In it, he called out other adventure game creators for some of the unfun annoyances people were putting in their game, especially Sierra, who at the time were the kings of adventure game, ironically enough. This was his mantra of what he was going to start doing to make his games more fun. Thankfully, Secret of Monkey Island did get enough critical success that he wasn't considered a bit of an idiot for typing that up.
Yes.
There are two other people who are Ron Gilbert's right-hand men in the design of this game, Dave Grossman and Tim Schafer. All three of them were put down as the designers, writers, and creators of Secret Monkey Island. Sadly, Dave Grossman and Ron Gilbert were not going to see much in future episodes. Tim Schafer, we absolutely will.
Why is that?
Unfortunately, the other two leave LucasArts and don't really have much else to their name that is as pivotal. Tim Schafer, on the other hand, does work with and without LucasArts that are so pivotal for the advancement of the adventure game genre that I really feel we need to cover them.
Are there any names I might know?
Games like Grim Fandango, Psychonauts.
I've heard of them. I always get Grim Fandango and Undertale mixed up.
There are two things that Ron Gilbert has cited as inspirations for The Secret of Monkey Island. The first is a book by Tim Powers called On Stranger Tides.
Oh, I've not heard of that one.
It's a fantasy book from 1987 based around famous pirates of the pirating era, including Blackbeard and our good friend Stede Bonnet.
Steve Bonnet.
It's a story about them going on a journey to find the Fountain of Youth. The book's not that good, I have to admit. I did read through it for this episode, but it's a bit obtuse and very slow in places. Not the best written thing I've read. It does influence this idea of magic and wonder that people usually put into Tolkien-esque fantasy and puts it into the pirating world, which is why it inspired this game.
Ooh.
The book was optioned into a movie, but it was released as part of the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise called Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides.
Oh, is that the one with Penelope Cruz in it?
Yes, the really bad fourth one. Not as bad as the fifth one, but still very fucking trash.
I mean, I will say that Penelope Cruz, I like her character in it, but the franchise at this point is very tired. It should have just been a trilogy, to be honest.
Speaking of Pirates of the Caribbean, the other big inspiration for Secret of Monkey Island was the Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Disneyland.
Ah, that's... So they've come from the same place.
Yeah, that's why it's this kind of feedback loop where Pirates of the Caribbean influences Secret of Monkey Island influences Pirates of the Caribbean. So it feels a bit unfair to accuse one of ripping off the other. I think they're both just understanding that the wonder of piracy is something that makes for a great story.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of my own writing, and there are points where, like, some media that I am very inspired by, and I use as a bit of a jumping point. So you're right, it is like a bit unfair to accuse something of plagiarism when homages exist.
Exactly. One last name that I want to bring up is the composer in Michael Land.
Oh, the music is so good in this game.
Oh, there are so many times in playing this game where I would stick on the opening theme song and just let it wash over me a little bit. It just gives you this perfect feeling of wonderment and excitement that just make me want to play more and more of this game.
You can imagine yourself steering your pirate ship with your boombox or Bluetooth speaker playing the Secret of Monkey Island soundtrack. Just the opening theme as the sea air rushes through your hair and into your ears and making them very sore.
It does have the element of being a sea shanty, absolutely.
Yes, some tracks definitely.
Something that you'd hear the pirates just jamming to while they're bored on the waters.
Yeah.
Let's start going through the game, and I just want to hang this out and just make sure this is clear for all future episodes. We are going to spoil some things that happen in the story, but at the same time, it's not really like there's any great surprises that would ruin the game to know.
Yeah, we're gonna not go through every single puzzle and how to solve them. We'll have a few puzzles, key puzzles, but not everything, because there's so many to go through.
Exactly. I have to say though, in our first half, you're talking that, I hope we get to become a pirate. Very, very first line of this game.
Hi, my name's Guybrush Threepwood, and I want to be a pirate.
So I think you got to know that you definitely get to become a pirate in this game.
You will become a pirate.
It is inevitable. So, would you agree with me now? The name Guybrush Threepwood, only 5% less ridiculous than Bubbles the Chimp.
Pretty much, yeah. A lot of the names you'll find going through the game are very stupid.
Yes. Not all, but definitely some. The name has actually got this great origin to it.
Oh, yeah?
The name Threepwood comes from a P.G. Wodehouse book called The Brinksmanship of Galahad Threepwood.
I've actually been meaning to read some P.G. Wodehouse. My mum's a huge fan of the Right Toe Jeeves.
The name Guybrush is a temp name that stuck. When they were designing Secret of Monkey Island, before the character had a name, they just saved it as Guy. And on the program they were using called Deluxe Paint, sprites like Guy were saved as brush files.
Ah, right.
So
Brush.
there would be a file called guy.brush.
Ah, that's pretty cool.
But yeah, it's just a temp name that stuck.
That's pretty cool. It's got its whole origin story.
It is just the perfect ridiculous name that lets you know that this is going to be a ridiculous story.
Not as ridiculous as a text that I read in my formative years called Captain Underpants, where the villain was called Professor Pippy Pee Poopy Pants.
The game opens and you arrive on Melee Island, not Monkey Island just yet. You start on Melee Island, always styled with a TM at the end, which I did find funny.
Yes.
So at the start of the game, you meet the Watchman, who's going to basically be a background character throughout the whole thing. And he directs you to the Scum Bar. Now, this is actually a meta joke. In the Scum engine, that section at the bottom of the screen that has all your verbs is called the Scum Bar.
Oh, right.
And they named the bar after that bar.
Right, that's pretty good.
There's a lot of small, silly references. That's why when you get to the Scum Bar, which has an amazing piece of music to it, I have to say. It's just this great shanty music. I could walk into any bar. If I heard that music, I'd be staying for a pint. It's just so fucking good.
You can talk to a whole bunch of the Scum Bar's patrons to tell them, hey, I want to be a pirate. and they tell you info about the story so far.
Apart from the Loom guy who just rants on about Loom.
Yes, apart from the Loom guy. Genuinely, the Scum Bar is not too far off somewhere I used to host karaoke's.
That was a job from an old life of yours where you used to be a karaoke host.
Yeah, it was very mixed, but I would have wanted to stay in the Scum Bar a bit longer, because I'm pretty sure they would have a mean karaoke night.
Not too sold on the beverage of choice, grog.
So, for reference, grog is actually just watered down rum.
Yes, that's what it is in the real world. The recipe in this game, however...
Grog is a secret mixture which contains one or more of the following:
kerosene,
propylene glycol,
artificial sweeteners, sulfuric acid,
rum,
acetone, red dye number 2,
scum,
axle grease, battery acid,
and or pepperoni.
Binge this, Babish. I genuinely would like to see him try this and try to substitute. What could I put in instead of glycol? Reminds me of the Austrian wine poisoning scandal that happened in the 80s, where because they couldn't get the sweet grapes that they need to make Pretty Cat's Wine, they added glycol to it to make it sweet.
Yeah, that is not propylene glycol, but I'm willing to bet that the Austrian wine poisoning inspired putting glycol in the recipe.
Apparently antifreeze tastes sweet enough to put into wine.
And into grog.
Yes, and grog.
At the Scum Bar, you meet the 3 pirate leaders who give you your quest to get you started in the game. You have to master the sword, master the art of thievery, and master the quest.
He means treasure hunting.
Yes, I do. That is your starting impetus for the game. What gets you started is completing these 3 tasks in any order you like.
Yeah, I'm a little bit sad I didn't get more time in the Scum Bar. Looked a lot of fun. The dog was cute.
Yeah, you can talk to the dog as well.
It was really cute. I loved that.
This is also the point of the game where we get our first glimpse of the ghost pirate LeChuck.
Meanwhile, in the bad guy's base.
Yes.
There's nothing like the hot winds of hell blowing in your face.
What do you think of him?
He was kind of like evil and bad and stuff. I don't know. I didn't really have much to think about him, to be honest, other than he was bad guy McBad.
He gets a lot more screen time in later games.
Yeah. One thing I will say that's super important with this game is just talk to everyone.
You can't go wrong with talking to everyone.
Talk to everyone. You'll get a kick out of it anyway. And just any random item that you can pick up, no matter how stupid, pick it up.
Yes.
They will be useful.
Try and pick up everything. Try and talk to everyone. You will get further on the game that way, for sure.
And have more fun. Most importantly.
There's some mental dialogue that just exists purely to amuse you and not to move anything forward.
Yeah.
From here, we now go and explore the town.
Because I was just, exploring the town randomly, I think I got to a seedy guy selling a treasure map. The only treasure map in the whole game. And then get 3 pirates of... What was it? What were they called?
Of low moral fibre, I do believe.
Yeah, pirates of low moral fibre. They wanted to find a rat or an elephant or something. And one of the dialogue options is, I think your rat would pair well with a white wine sauce, which I picked, and they were very annoyed at me for it. You've got the option to apologise. I did not take that option, because maybe it does pair well with a white wine sauce. I'm not to know. But it did piss them off, so it was very funny.
It was at this point where you came across some of the more important characters in town with the shopkeep and with Otis.
Yeah.
The shopkeep at first, what do you think of him?
The shopkeeper, he's a cranky old man.
He's a cranky old fucker with a big beard.
Yes.
I don't know, there's something about him that looks like Uncle Albert from Only Fools and Horses.
But what you do with him is you steal some stuff from a shop, and in order to master sword fighting, you have to fight the sword master. And you ask him, can you find me the sword master of Melee Island?
To be fair, you try to steal from him, but he wouldn't let you steal it.
Yeah, I sent him off to find the sword master of Melee Island, and I tried to steal the sword and the shovel, and he caught me and told me to put them back. And I was a bit annoyed, but okay, fine, I guess.
No, you're going to have to pay for those.
Yeah, with money I don't have.
One other person you met in town at this time was the sheriff, Fester Shinetop.
Who takes an instant disliking to you.
Yeah, this bald, surly motherfucker who's instantly gets in your face the first time you meet him.
He looks like he's walked straight out of a Village People video.
Yeah, he does have this big 80s gay energy to him.
Yeah.
So after you got acquainted with the town, you started to explore the island.
The island music is so cute.
Yeah, the overworld map music.
Yeah. You point and click around different parts of the town, but to get from to different parts of the island, you've got an overhead map with little dots marking each different place. So you've got one place at the far north of the island, which is a zip line to an attraction, which we'll come back to. There's the town and the lookout post. There's a circus, and there's a guy's house.
And there's also a giant boat dealership that you can't overlook because there's this big lit up thing on the map.
Yes.
One of the first things you encountered on the world map, though, was the troll. Well, Ron Gilbert openly admitted he was inspired by Pirates of the Caribbean ride and On Stranger Tides. I know Tim Schafer has talked about that he wanted to do for Pirating Legend what Monty Python did for Arthurian Legend.
Ah, right.
Hence why this troll does have that line of
None shall pass.
such a holy grail quote if ever there was one.
Yeah.
You get round him, I think you give him like a fish you found earlier on the island. Interesting thing though, because you see the guy, when you walk away, the troll takes off his head to reveal it's just a guy in a costume and then eats the fish. He had black hair and a beard, and apparently that was meant to be a joke of George Lucas.
Really?
The graphics are not at the level you can make anything out, but yeah, the idea was that he takes off the mask of the costume and it's George Lucas underneath it.
See, I didn't realize that.
He is just a man with black hair and a beard, so it's not really like you can identify him. It's just one of these meta jokes that have been revealed since the games came out.
Ah, right. So basically they were calling George Lucas a great big troll.
Seeing what he did to the Star Wars franchise, that's probably quite accurate, yeah. Once you're past the troll then, you get to the circus.
Because what is a circus doing on this pirate island?
What's a circus doing anywhere these days, I guess?
True.
If it's not Cirque du Soleil, I'm not even sure if circuses are still a thing.
They are. You'll see posters of them. I don't know if we are living in the most boring apocalypse, but, in the before times, you would see posters of circuses everywhere, pretty much. But I don't know if they're as much of a thing anymore.
On this island, you see the circus tent with the Fettuccine brothers in there.
Who are arguing over who is going first to put themselves as a cannon and fire themselves across the room.
So the minute that Guybrush makes his presence known, they charge right up to him and offer him money to do it instead.
So that's how you make a living. And sadly, you can't do it more than once to become a millionaire.
No. Though this is one of the points where I gave Jen a hint. Just so you got an idea of how I was guiding Jen. They'll only let you do it once you have a helmet. I told Jen at this point, you will not find a helmet anywhere on Melee Island. That clued you in enough that you were to use the pot that you had found in the scum bar.
Yeah, you have to steal stuff from the scum bar before you do much else.
You use that pot as a helmet instead and get your money. And that basically kicks off everything else.
And then they argues to, I'm going in the cannon now. Which, okay, I guess. I inspired something.
Cash in hand, you then get yourself sorted with your spade and your sword from the shopkeep.
Because I actually buy them instead of steal them.
Yeah, you've now got the money to buy these things. And you also got the treasure map.
Yes, I thought, this treasure map might come in handy.
The money also allowed you to go somewhere else you found in the island, which is a house in the bottom right-hand corner.
Yes, there's a guy who will teach you how to sword fight, because you don't walk in to the game knowing how to sword fight, because where's the fun in already knowing how to do one of the things the game wants you to do?
Yeah. Guybrush's qualifications going into this game is he can hold his breath in water for 10 minutes.
That's it. That's all he can do.
That's all he can do. So, yeah, Guybrush can't sword fight. And that's when you meet a big surly fucker called Captain Smirk, who's going to teach you how to sword fight. Sword fighting in this game, though, this isn't some action game where you learn attack and counter moves.
Or time fight scenes.
No. So, Jen, can you explain how the sword fighting works in Secret of Monkey Island?
So, what you do with a sword fight is your opponent gives you a bit of sass, like an insult, and to counter that and to stop him from poking you with a sword, you have to choose the appropriate comeback.
Yes, it is a joke-based combat mechanic. For example, one of the ones Captain Smirk teaches you is if someone says to you, "You fight like a dairy farmer," the appropriate response to that is...
How appropriate, you fight like a cow.
What did you think of the insult-based sword fighting?
I loved it. I had so much fun with it. Now, what I will say is, in order to practice your sword fighting, you have to stick to the overall map and wander around. You'll find little dots for your pirate opponents walking by. You have to be in their path for you to fight them.
Yes, they'll use new insults on you, which you don't know the response to. Then in future fights, you then use the insults yourself and see if someone can give you the appropriate response.
You will lose fights a lot. Like, a lot. So, but don't be disheartened by this, because the more you fight and the more you engage with these sword fights, the stronger pirate you become. You gather as many insults and retorts as humanly possible. And after like many fights, you will be good enough to fight the Swordmaster.
Some of the quips were written by Orson Scott Card, but even he has came out and said that he's not sure how many of his quips actually made it into the final game.
So, do you think there might have been a ghost writer for some of those quotes? Hey.
Let's just practice a few of the quips. Let me test your knowledge and see how good you're at sword fighting.
It's been a while since I've fought the Swordmaster, so I might be a bit rusty.
I'll have to punctuate these with sword fighting sound effects.
Brilliant.
Soon you'll be wearing my sword like a shish kebab.
Maybe I would if you stopped waving it around like a feather duster.
People fall at my feet when they see me coming.
Even before they've smelled your breath?
I once owned a dog who was smarter than you.
He must have taught you everything you know.
What was your favourite insult of all of them?
Oh, there's so many. I can't choose which one I like. I'm not going to take your insulin sitting down.
Your hemorrhoids are acting up again, eh?
There's so many to choose from, and you'll have a lot of fun going through them all. There are a lot of them, so just keep fighting.
Just keep fighting until you've learned enough. The game will start giving you clues when they think you've got enough to fight the Swordmaster.
I think the pirates will say you're good enough to fight the Swordmaster.
Yeah, they will.
They'll be super impressed by your gun moves.
It was while you were looking for opponents, though, that you accidentally stumbled into a thicket in the middle of the island.
Yeah, I got lost in a forest and tried to get out.
You wandered around just clicking different exits to try and get out, and you seem to have stumbled into the fucking treasure.
I walked ass backwards into the lost treasure of Melee.
You had the treasure map. At this point, you haven't even looked at it because you wanted to do sword fighting first.
Yeah, I wanted to do the sword fighting first, and I cannot believe it. I still can't believe that.
That is one of those things in that game that I didn't know how to do. I looked it up. I was ready to start advising you because even when I played it, I had trouble finding it. But you just fucking, and I swear, I watched her. I didn't even know that she was doing this. But she scrambled enough in the different directions that she just ended up wandering into the fucking treasure.
Yeah, so I can't give you very many hints for solving this puzzle because we both don't know how we did it. But the treasure map that you get isn't really a treasure map. They're dance steps.
It looks like dance steps, but it actually is the directions you have to go to get to the treasure that you happen to stumble yourself through to.
I still can't believe that, actually.
Thankfully, you already had bought the shovel.
Yeah, I'd already bought the shovel and dig for the treasure, so you spent a whole bunch of time digging it. You get there, and what you find is a t-shirt saying, "I found the treasure of Melee Island, and all I got was this lousy t-shirt." I found that very funny.
So, one challenge stumbled the fuck into. Onto another. You got the shopkeep to unwittingly lead you to the Swordmaster's house.
What you do is you'll ask the shopkeeper, "I'd like to find the Swordmaster of Melee Island," and he'll go, "Right, looks like I've got to do the long hike to find her. She doesn't want to fight anyone. She doesn't want to fight you. She's taken a dislike to you in particular. So I'm just going to go on this long hike to tell her that some asshole wants to fight her."
Yeah, you just follow him, and it goes back through that thicket again.
It does.
He leads you to the Swordmaster, Carla. What do you think of her?
Very attractive.
Yeah. She's this black pirate with an afro who just has this badass look to her.
Yeah, and this really, like, sultry voice. And is also, like, she's a very strong character as well. She does not put up with your shit. She's very, like, "I have to fight you." But yeah, I like her. I like her a lot, yeah.
And that's when you have to get the sword fighting with her. And you panicked when she started using sword insults that you didn't know.
Yeah, like, I went in kind of, like, expecting the usual thing, but her insults are different to the ones that everyone else has. Hence why she's the sword master.
This is the thing I fucking love. Even though her insults are different, it's the same list of responses that you used to beat her.
Yes.
She'll use one like,
"I will milk every drop of blood from your body."
which you happen to beat her with.
How appropriate. You fight like a cow.
It's this system that you beat not by learning her insults, but just by thinking your way out of the box. This great use of cunning and wits to beat her that I fucking love. You actually got a lot of that yourself.
Yeah. It was that moment where I figured out that I am equipped to beat this woman was just amazing. It's just a perfect moment.
So you beat the Swordmaster, at which point she gives you proof that you beat her, which is a t-shirt saying,
"I beat the Swordmaster and all I got was this lousy t-shirt."
And now you have one task left, which is the Art of Thievery. This is one of the points where we flat out didn't know what to do. I have a vague memory of how to beat this game. You were asking me for hints here and there, but this is one of the times that you flat out didn't even know how to get started with this.
So you had to give me a little nudge.
Yeah, because you have to get to the governor's mansion, which is guarded by piranha dogs.
Yeah, piranha dogs.
You could steal a hunk of meat from the scum bar and feed them to the dogs, but they would just devour it and not really do anything. We were completely lost, so we did have to look up online and saw that you have to find some poisonous flowers, which I can't remember if that was signposted before. I think Otis may have brought them up.
Yeah, he was imprisoned for stealing them, I think.
You befriend Otis, and he tells you that he got arrested for picking the flowers.
Which is your hint, and does he not say, like, what the flowers do?
I can't remember. I really can't. I'm going to have to look into that. Either way, you get these poisonous flowers, you rub them on the meat, and you feed them to the dogs.
And, yeah, you kill those dogs.
No. The game very blatantly says...
Important notice. These dogs are not dead. They are only sleeping. No animals were harmed during the production of this game.
Yes, I'm sure.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, what I will say about those dogs is that they fall asleep for the rest of the game.
Yeah, they never wake up, which is a very, very deep sleep.
You put those dogs in a bloody coma.
Yes. Coma, that's what we did with them.
Yeah.
So now you get into the Governor Marley's mansion, a name you've only heard so far. You've not actually met the governor. In the governor's mansion, you started wandering around and you walked into a room. It was at this point that Fester Shinetop, the sheriff, reveals that he's been waiting for you this entire time and follows you into the room.
But you guys fight.
Yeah, well, you're alleged to a fight. This is one of the economic humours in this game. All the fighting is happening in an off-screen room. You can't see the fight. The only thing that clues you into the fight is the little text box that will come up in the scum engine at the bottom half of the screen that would just say things like, use Vase on Shinetop, but also have weird things like, hypnotize Quarrelsome Rhinoceros, push the red button, and these other weird phrases to just have this idea of a massive fight that's happening that you can't see until something like Guybrush is thrown out of the room through a painting and back into view.
It makes you wonder. You're going through this fight and you wonder, why has she got all this stuff in her kitchen?
The thing is, you don't know what room it is.
I assume it's the kitchen.
It could be the kitchen. It could be the living room.
Or the conservatory.
Could be her sex dungeon. We don't know.
I mean, wouldn't put it past her.
True, but I want to know why she has a yak with wax lips in her sex dungeon, though.
Oh no, I don't know about that.
And the gopher horde. Let's not forget that.
Yeah, I don't know what's been invading that dungeon.
The gopher horde does actually give you an item that you do take out of this room of the gopher repellent. That's something you do trade with Otis the prisoner to get his auntie's carrot cake that she made for him, even though, as you openly say, he doesn't like carrot cake.
I remember my friend got a packed lunch at school and her mum kept packing a ham and tomato sandwich even though she didn't like ham nor tomato. And just never, I don't know, she never had the heart to say like, hey, I don't like ham and tomato.
Maybe she should try to open it up, realise her mum's been trying to sneak her a file into her lunch every day. Because that's what Otis's aunt was doing at this time, because there's actually a file hidden in the cake that he could have used this entire time to try and get himself out of jail.
He's like, starving in a prison cell and he's still not wanting to eat carrot cake. He's only got himself to blame, to be honest.
Yeah, because he does point out that he's not eating the carrot cake, he doesn't like carrots, but he is eating the rats.
Shame he doesn't have a white wine sauce to pair with it.
So you take the file and go back to your mental fight with Fester Shinetop, and you eventually walk away with the item you're supposed to thieve called the Idol of Many Hands. This is the point where you met Governor Marley for the first time.
Yes.
What do you think of her?
Ooh, she's very cute. I like her. I don't know, like just the female characters in this game, they've just got such bisexual energy and I'm living for it so much.
All the men in this game seem to be a bit incompetent, but the women are all so on the ball, absolutely prepared, and
could wipe the floor with all the pirates on that island.
Exactly.
Hey, it's basically a matriarchy.
It kind of is, because all the men are these kind of incompetent drunks or useless fops in the time of Guybrush.
Yeah.
But yeah, all the women in this game just kick ass.
I mean, all the more reason to move to Melee Island. It is a feminist utopia. With having said that, there are not enough women in Melee Island. All the more reason, ladies, move to Melee Island. Get that ratio straightened out.
I did love it when you first meet her, though. Guybrush has a problem speaking to women. So all of your phrases that you can say as response are just stammers.
Having said that, like, he says he's got a problem speaking to women, and yet manages to beat the sword master. Clearly it's just women he finds attractive. And I don't understand why he wouldn't find Carla attractive. But okay, I guess. Go have no taste, Guybrush.
You come out of the governor's mansion and you run into Fester Shinetop, who's still a bit pissed from your fight. So he decides to take you to the docks ties you to the idol, and throws you into the water.
He's a delightful fellow, what can I say?
Now, this bit in the game is very notable for being the only time in the entire game where it's possible to die.
Really?
There is not another thing in this game that can potentially kill you other than if you don't get out of the water in 10 minutes.
See, that's the thing. I don't know why I said really, because he's going to drown.
But it's just that idea that nothing else we're going to talk about this episode is potently deadly to Guybrush in the game's mechanics. This was a big thing in Ron Gilbert's essay, Why Adventure Games Suck. King's Quest was famous at this point for having bullshit deaths, where you would just be clicking on a bit of field and, oh no, the ground gave way, whoops, end of game, hope you saved recently. He made it very goddamn clear he wanted that to be taken out of adventure games. So with this game, nothing else can kill you. Not the poisonous flowers, not insulting the people in the scum bar, not even the cannibals that we'll get to later. None of them will kill you. The only thing that will is if you don't get out of the water in the 10 minutes that Guybrush says he can hold his breath for.
It was very frustrating solving that puzzle to get out of the water.
Yes, because there's all these sharp things that are just out of arm's reach.
So many. And then you listen up to Over Your Head, where there are two pirates who are contemplating dropping their weapons after, like, stealing something, or what was it?
They're in some sort of predicament where they need to dispose of their weapons.
And then after talking and talking and talking, they decide, nah, we're not going to do it. We'll keep our swords after all. I think I, like, made an audible... It was so annoying. And then just to top it off, right, I thought to myself, can I move the idol? So I picked it up and used the ladder to get out of the water.
Because you were really panicking, like, what do I do? What do I do? Like, Jen, you've picked up this idol once before, so why is it weighing you down? At which point you picked up the idol and you just put it in your pockets.
I think I screamed.
You did. You didn't take well to that.
Because I was really scared that I was going to drown and die. And then I thought, like, oh, you're going to solve this puzzle in, like, a badass way. You managed to cut yourself free and swim to the surface. No, you just put it in your pocket and climb out of the water. Ah!
There is actually one thing I do want to talk about. This is the only point in the game where you can die. But there is one joke you didn't get to see. If you drown, it doesn't go straight to game over. Instead, you start floating. All of the buttons in the Scum engine bar, I'm going to keep calling it the Scum engine bar to not confuse it with the location called the Scum bar. All of the buttons in the Scum engine bar all change to become things like bloat, decompose, bob, rot, and order hint book.
Order hint book?
Yes. Which, if you click, then comes up with a number for 1-800 Star Wars.
Right? 1-800 Wars?
Yeah, I don't know if it was a real... I'll have to look into it and find out if that was a real hotline at the time. Turns out it was. But yeah, that would be what one of the buttons did. But it was a joke you missed.
Yeah, because I managed to solve the puzzle on time with a bit of help.
Speaking of jokes you missed, because of the way we did things in the game, there was one scene you missed when you come out of the water. Because you come out of the water and, oh no, LeChuck has kidnapped Governor Marley. There is a whole scene of Governor Marley and Guybrush that you miss.
If you do the Art of Thievery one last, you miss a love scene.
Yeah, so admittedly this is one of the times I did break out YouTube so you could watch this scene of Guybrush and Marley falling madly in love.
Who would have known or even cared if you'd let me drown?
I would have, Guybrush.
Oh, Governor.
Oh, Threepwood.
Oh, Elaine.
Oh, Guybrush.
Love Muffin.
Sugar Boots.
Honey Pumpkin.
Plunder Bunny.
Kiss me.
No, we mustn't.
What?
So when I got out of the water And the lookout's saying, "Oh my goodness, Governor Marley's been kidnapped by that bastard LeChuck." Guybrush is proclaiming, "I shall rescue Governor Marley because I'm in love with her," and yada yada. And I'm just thinking, you met this woman for 2 minutes and you're already in love with her? What?
Yeah, it does give you a bit more context if you see that scene first.
Yes, it does. You can at least see the infatuation there.
But then it's decided Guybrush is going to gather a crew, go get a boat, and sail to Monkey Island after LeChuck.
So you've got to go around the island seeing who is available to be a member of your crew.
Yes. There are 3 people you can recruit for your crew. You've got Otis from the jails. You break him out of jail by using the grog from the scum bar.
Yes.
Because it's that fucking caustic.
Yep. It can burn metal. Imagine what it does to your insides.
Yeah, so you manage to get it to the jail, you pour it on the lock and it melts it. Otis goes, "Yeah, fuck you, buddy," and runs off. Thankfully comes back by the end.
Yeah, when you're gathering your crew, he comes back to join you, and I hated him for a bit because he double-crossed and betrayed me, but just thought, you know what, yeah, you're a lovable scamp. Oh, I can't not have you on my crew.
You also recruit the Swordmaster, much to your delight.
I was so happy that she was on my crew. Like, you've got no idea.
And the third person you recruit is a pirate up off the north of the island called Mr. Meathook, which just sounds like such a dirty name.
It does, doesn't it?
It really does, yeah. So with your crew assembled, now it was about finding a boat. This is where you run into Stan.
Oh, God, this guy. Ugh, I hate that man. I hate him so much.
This guy talks in such salesman bullshit, waving his hands around in this tacky-looking plaid suit. He is an absolute annoyance, but I kind of fucking love him.
I despise Stan, the used boat salesman. There's lots of funny dialogue, pretty hilarious stuff, but oh my god, like, imagine encountering this guy in real life, like, very, very punchable. There are a few different boats that you can get, but the one you're aiming for is up the back, and it's a piece of shit, but it's the only one that's ever been to Monkey Island and came back.
Yes, and you start haggling over the boat. This was more of a battle for you than the fucking Swordmaster.
It was. He is awful. He's an awful, awful man.
Because it's this whole kind of like, you have to haggle on the price, and he tries to punch you in the feels as many times as he can.
Yeah, he brought my non-existent marriage into this. Oh, your wife must hate you for being such a cheapskate. And I'm thinking, that's not true. My wife loves a good bargain. And at the end, he guilt-tripped me and says that his children wouldn't get Christmas. And I thought to myself, fuck your kids.
Fuck the children. Fuck them.
I do not care about your children. I want this pirate ship on the cheap.
Battle over then. You assemble at the pier with your crew to one side and your ship out in the water.
And Stan's looking out the ship and he's like, you know what, I don't know if I can sell this to you. I think I might give you your money back. We're having a real moment. And then one of the ship's masts just falls. It just topples over.
How could I sell something so dear? Then again, a deal's a deal, right?
Fucking snake oil salesman, this man.
Yeah, genuine, get your arm off me, you complete utter scumbag. You were guilt-tripping me about your children not getting Christmas 2 minutes ago. You're not my friend, go away.
It was at this point, though, just the end of Act 1, where we reveal the giant twist that the entire time that Fester Shinetop was LeChuck.
I was in a state of shock, actually, when I found that out. Does he not, like, tear his skin off or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, really gnarly stuff.
It's portrayed as the ghost ripping off a costume.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's the end of the first act. You now have your crew, you now have your ship, or most of it. And it's off onto the sails to Monkey Island. And Act 2 starts, and immediately all of your crew mutiny.
I was very betrayed. I was surprised, shocked, appalled. 2 minutes ago, right, they were all about like, yeah, we want to rescue the governor because we love her. And then the minute you get the ship and you're out, they're like, are we getting paid for this? No. Yeah, no, we're just going to go cruise around the Caribbean. We're not going to help you rescue the governor like we wanted to 2 minutes ago. And you're too weak to tell them to be a crew and help me rescue the governor, so you have to do everything yourself.
Yeah, they refuse to help, and you might as well be running the ship yourself.
You might as well have not bothered getting the crew together. Carla, my love, I expected better from you. Otis, you know, wouldn't put it past the guy. He's not to be trusted. Meat Hook, I thought, genuine guy. But no, they're a bunch of arseholes. I'm doing this myself.
Yes.
I guess.
It was then that you started exploring the ship and you found a very strange recipe that reported to lead you to Monkey Island.
I mean, you think grog was bad. This was even stranger.
The recipe consists of 1 cinnamon stick, 4 leaves of mint, 1 human skull pressed, 1 squirt squid ink, 2 parts monkey blood, 1 live chicken, 3 ounces of brimstone, and 1 or more of the following: pyridoxine hydrochloride, zinc oxide, yellow 8, mine mononitrate, or BHA.
Most of those, I don't even know what they are. It's a very bizarre recipe, but you have all the ingredients you need for this horrendous abomination of a pot soup.
That was another rule of Ron Gilbert. A lot of the items that come from things earlier in the game are things you pick up to solve other puzzles, so you definitely have them in your inventory. Anything that you don't have in your inventory can be found on the ship.
Yes.
It was another rule that you cannot lock yourself into a point of the game where you can't proceed.
Right, so what would happen if, say, I hadn't collected everything?
Excluding the stuff that was on the ship, every one of the items you had to come here already carrying, such as the 1 live chicken you substitute with the rubber chicken. That rubber chicken you needed to go get Meat Hook because it's got a pulley in it. So there's things like that where items that you definitely needed to solve earlier puzzles and are still in your inventory since then. It's part of its good design. There's a real sense of not leaving you without.
Yeah, which is very handy, especially for new players like me. It's really good that Ron Gilbert made sure that everything was accessible and there was no like really obtuse, annoying control decisions.
Yes.
It
That-
made it for me, put it that way.
That recipe collected then creates a potion so potent it knocks you out.
Yes.
And when you wake up, you find yourself outside Monkey Island.
Yeah, like the ship takes you to Monkey Island.
Yes, there's zero explanation as to why this recipe takes you there. It is part of the background magic that just kind of drapes over the world.
Yeah.
With that then, you manage to get in the cannon and you fire yourself at Monkey Island.
And then we get to part 3.
Yes, now we're on part 3 of the game. We're now on Monkey Island. We get to finally explore the eponymous Monkey Island TM.
Yeah.
First thing you meet on the beach is Herman Toothrot. What did you think of good old Herman?
I did not like him either. I think what rubbed me up the wrong way was him saying,
I've only been waiting 20 years to talk to somebody civilized. I don't mind.
and I'm thinking, oh no, it's Robinson Crusoe.
Yeah.
No, not again.
Yeah, you have a hate of the book Robinson Crusoe, don't you?
Yes, I do. I hate it. Earlier on, you were talking about King's Quest.
Yeah.
Early adventure game, difficult and obtuse and frustrating to play.
Very much so, yeah.
Because it was an early one, they're still figuring themselves out. Robinson Crusoe is kind of the same thing. It's one of the early novels. Because of that, it is obtuse and frustrating to read. There are no paragraph breaks, which I really struggled with that. And also, Robinson Crusoe as a character, I dislike. There's one point earlier on in the novel where he sells his friend into slavery. Like, who does that? What a dick. Gets stuck on this island, shipwrecked, he's on his own, and he's trying to settle and make a good life for himself on this island. And instead of thinking, oh wow, I really miss the companionship of having another human being on this island, he encounters cannibals, just like Herman Toothrot does in this game. And he befriends this cannibal, one of them, and takes him on as pretty much his slave. He names the cannibal Friday after the day he captured him and gets Friday to call him master the whole time. Yikes!
So the minute you met Herman, you just had these Robinson Crusoe vibes.
Yes. And the fact, instead of being portrayed as this aspirational character, Robinson Crusoe's got a myth around him where, oh wow, he's managed to live in a desert island, and wow, I would love to be like him and make the best of being on a desert island. The passive aggression between Herman Toothrot and the cannibals is really, really funny, which I would not put it past Robinson Crusoe to do.
If Robinson Crusoe's book is him trying to big up his exploits, in truth, he is really just leaving passive-aggressive notes around an island.
Yeah. I'm so sorry for this big, long rant, but honestly, I hate Robinson Crusoe, and a lot of my friends who are on my course feel exactly the same way.
So that gives you just bad vibes all round with Herman Toothrot.
Yes, but only the other person on the island, so I guess I gotta be nice to him, I suppose.
He does describe himself as the only civilized person on the island.
Which it stands in stark contrast to the little passive-aggressive notes that are left for people that aren't civilized, in inverted commas. It's a problematic language, but we know it's Herman that's the problematic one. It's not encouraged in the narrative. I imagine that Herman Toothrot is a parody of Robinson Crusoe. You're not supposed to like Herman.
With Herman out the way, you did start to now explore what you could of Monkey Island. At this point in the game, I was trying to really step back and not give you hints. Leaving to your own devices then, you did manage to find yourself in a situation where you fired a rock and sunk your pirate ship.
Which, I mean, good. I was very pleased, actually. It's as good as they deserve, quite frankly, for betraying me. How dare they?
Admittedly, though, at this point in the game, the puzzles were getting a bit obtuse, so I eventually guided you through quite a lot of the puzzles on the island because it just saved you a lot of infuriating back and forth, especially some of the stuff that you may have not realised you could click on.
Yeah, like you need to find a way to get bananas off one of the trees, and you can't just shake the trees because puzzle, but there is a way that you can do it in the same way I managed to sink my pirate ship.
Yeah, you eventually lob your giant boulder at a tree on the beach, which is what you're supposed to do with that boulder, not kill your crew.
Yeah, it's an optional thing, and I'm really glad I took that option.
Hitting the ship does change a small part of the ending that we'll get to.
The one time where your choice somewhat matters.
After solving enough of the puzzles and getting through the island, you eventually ended up in the cannibal village.
Yeah, you finally get to meet the cannibals after your encounters with them as of yet have just been passive-aggressive notes.
Left by Herman.
No, there were other ones left by the cannibals, I'm pretty sure.
Just this idea of these scary cannibals just being the equivalent of shit roommates.
Yeah, I have heard horror stories of one roommate that one of my friends had who would actually leave little post-it notes of, like, you know, stuff like, yeah, you better do the dishes or whatever. It was very, very funny.
Meeting the cannibals, though, you first off realise that they are all very lovely people.
Yes, they're a lot nicer than one would expect from cannibals.
I did have a good chuckle when they described themselves as the only civilised people on the island.
I loved that because it's like a good little dig at Herman and also a dig at people from Robinson Crusoe's time and texts like it. Cannibals on certain islands are always portrayed as savages. It was a really nice, refreshing touch for them to say that they're the only civilized people on the island, which, you know what, probably true.
They're portrayed as being SoCal hipsters, but they also eat people.
Yeah, but they're trying not to eat people.
We've been trying to stay away from red meat.
Only for health reasons. We're still as vicious as ever.
Cannibals have to watch their saturated fats just like everyone else.
Talking with the cannibals, there's one thing they do bring up. They have a special potion that can defeat the pirate ghosts, but involves using a particular route that LeChuck has found and stolen and keeps on a ship. This is your one clue of a way to beat the evil pirate. So along with getting on his ship to save Governor Marley, we have to get on and get this route as well.
And bring it back to the cannibals so they can make the special potion, which we will come back to.
It was at this point that they tell you of their key to get into a giant monkey head on the east side of the island that leads you to the underneath of the island where the pirate LeChuck's ship is hiding.
But Herman has it.
You realise it's actually this big bitchy fest between the cannibals and Herman.
Yeah, it's a stalemate.
Herman has the key and won't give it back until the cannibals give back his banana grabbers, which they borrowed from Herman, and they won't give it back until they get their key. It's a catch-22 that it falls to Guybrush to break. With enough problem solving, you eventually get to the point where you have the key, which turns out to be a giant cotton swab.
Which I enjoyed. That was funny.
It's one of those very iconic images from the game of Guybrush holding a giant cotton swab. Looks a bit like he's on Gladiator.
Yeah.
But yeah, you use the giant cotton swab to pry open the monkey's ear to open the door.
Yeah, gotta clear out that monkey head's earwax.
This giant stone monkey head. You put the cotton bud in his ear and wiggle it around until the tongue opens, you can get inside.
And then you've got a huge labyrinth to go through to try and find LeChuck's ship. You'll never get through that the first time.
Of course not. You're not designed to. You're supposed to go in there and get lost. The trick is you have to go back to the cannibals, who can give you a shrunken head who will guide you through the puzzle.
But they won't give it to you because it's super rare and really good. They only have one.
And they'll only give it to you if they can replace theirs. This is one of the very few times in the game where I didn't prompt you and just let you cheese the puzzle yourself.
I had to just feel my way around, rummage in my pockets. Oh, what I forgot. And put it this way, it's one of the brochures.
Yeah, it's a bit of wordplay you have to kind of look into. It was cool to experience your very first instance of cheesing.
Yes, you'll need to explain the concept of cheesing to people who don't know.
Cheesing is the art of when you don't know what the solution is, so you just try every option until you find the right one. The adventure games of the time were built on cheesing.
Yeah, just going through whatever because you've got no clue where to go from there.
With Ron Gilbert's philosophy of that there's no death and no failure, you pretty much have a blank slate to cheese as much as it takes to solve the puzzle.
Yeah.
Guide head in hand, literally guide head in hand, you're holding it up
yeah.
like a torch until it guides you to LeChuck's ship.
So that's like another puzzle in itself, but it does make navigating around that labyrinth so much easier.
The only way you can get through LeChuck's ship is to use...
It's a necklace of human eyeballs that will make you invisible to ghosts.
Yes. We get to LeChuck's ship and...
There's a whole bunch of pirates having like a drunken jam session.
Yes, just a bunch of pirates enjoying a big sea shanty.
If you try to go on the ship without the eyeballs, the pirates will catch you and go, hey, what are you doing here? You're not a ghost pirate. They'll chase you off, yeah. They won't kill you, but you can run away.
But now we're on LeChuck's ship. So close to the enemy, but not yet ready to beat him.
Yeah, you do have to do a bit of sneaking and try and steal a key from him.
You managed to get your hands on some ghost tools, I think they're called.
Yeah, I managed to get my hands on some ghost tools to help me get the route.
I do love, there's a small reference to this puzzle that when you break it open, a little jingle from Indiana Jones plays.
yeah, I got a kick out of that.
A little nod to the previous game of The Last Crusade that came out before Loom.
Ah, right, I get you.
But you now have the route. You take it back to the cannibals, who brew up the potion.
Say it pairs well with vanilla ice cream.
Yes.
It's for no reason, as far as you know. But you expect those kind of weird things from dialogue at this point.
But now you have your seltzer bottle with the root potion inside, ready to fight LeChuck. You go back to his ship and find that he's split to go back to Melee Island and marry Governor Marley.
A forced marriage that you've got to stop, which was a bit annoying.
You needed the route, admittedly, which you couldn't have got back in Melee Island.
It wasn't a completely wasted journey, no.
There is a great joke here. When you come back and find the ship's gone, Herman then shows up and says he'll take you back to Melee Island. Because you remember, you've sunk your ship.
Yes.
But at this point, you then meet Herman, who says you can use his lifeboat to get back to Melee Island, but only on the grounds that you come back and rescue him later.
He has the boat and he stays on that island for 25 years, despite having a way off of it.
It's so Monty Python, though.
Yeah.
That he has the boat there, but he needs you to come rescue him. Back onto Melee Island, though, we get to the last chapter of the game. Guybrush kicks butt.
Yes.
With the special root potion in hand, you're now ready to beat the pirates.
On your way to the church, you encounter ghost pirates, and you gotta squish them with your ghost spray.
Yes, ideally while giving them a good, cool one-liner.
Yeah, you gotta give them a cool one-liner first. You're Guybrush Threepwood. That's your thing.
Yes, you're here to kick ass and take names.
Yeah.
You get through the town, beating the pirate ghosts as you come across them, and you get to the chapel. Right at the front is the ghost pirate LeChuck.
You have to shout a cool line, and all I say is, stop the wedding.
Yeah, you get a choice of lines, and you did kind of go with stop the wedding, which is a good line. It's not a bad one. But you see this veiled bride next to LeChuck. This is the first time in the game where it's proper LeChuck standing out against Guybrush. These two facing off always stems to such an iconic moment in all the future games. It's so weird to see this first one.
I'm in the moment, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to sword fight this guy. I've mastered the art of sword fighting. I'm going to become a true pirate by beating LeChuck and saving the girl I love. When Governor Marley turns up and says, hey, I had an escape plan already and you kind of ruined it.
In the middle of these two having a verbal contest of words, which is such a schoolboy argument.
I can't believe your audacity.
Well, I can't believe your stupidity.
Well, I can't believe your frivolity.
Well, I can't believe your enormity.
In the middle of this fight, a rope descends from the ceiling, and it's the actual Governor Marley.
And she's all, oh yeah, I had an escape plan, but you ruined it for me. But who is the true bride? She turns around and it's two monkeys standing on top of each other.
Yes.
I love how LeChuck is so face blind that he can't tell the difference between Governor Marley, who he's been after for years, and two monkeys standing on top of each other.
Yes, that's just part of the humour.
Part of the humour, which is just glorious. See, I realised in that moment that the true damsel in distress that you're to rescue is Herman Toothrot.
If Governor Marley's been safe this entire time, he has been the only damsel.
Yeah, and there's a whole bunch of people out there who fucked off with their pirate ship and left them behind.
We didn't explain this at the time, admittedly, but the pirate ship that we did ride, the only ship to ever go to Monkey Island and come back, did used to belong to Herman Toothrot.
Ah, I forgot about that.
Yes, yeah. So
I sunk his ship, basically.
But yeah, he is the only person in this game who's actually needed your help.
Yes, and I am proud that I gave him that help. Even though I didn't really like him all that much, he kind of needed saving. He needed to go back.
So it turns out this entire time, you saved Robinson Crusoe.
Yeah, I guess. I felt like I'd done a good deed, even if it was for someone who didn't deserve it.
All that's left is the final encounter. Guybrush versus LeChuck. Guybrush pulls out his seltzer bottle and it breaks. Yeah, it doesn't squirt.
Oh no. And then Captain LeChuck swings his arms round and then gets like a good uppercut that launches Guybrush into the sky, and so does the bottle of magic cannibal potion, and it just goes away to another part of the island. And I think I cried a little bit because I worked so hard to get that fucking root potion.
Yeah, but nope, you're going to have to fight him without it. You get a good few minutes of LeChuck knocking you around the island with these uppercuts, sending you all around Melee Island, until you come crashing back down in Stan's used boat emporium.
My head is right through the vending machine.
Yes. The broken vending machine that earlier in the game you did try to put a coin in, but wasn't able to get anything out of.
It was Chekhov's vending machine.
Yes, a vending machine that we did see in Act 1 did end up getting used in Act 4.
Yes.
You come crashing down through this machine, you knock a bottle free, and just after LeChuck knocks Stan with a big wind-up punch into the sea.
Which I found very satisfying. He really needed a good old punch.
LeChuck then turns his attention to you and starts winding up. At which point you notice there was a bottle at your feet.
And I thought, oh, I'm going to smash it over his head and we're going to have an epic fight scene because I've got a sword, I think, when actually it's the anti-ghost potion that I worked for a whole act to get. It was fucking root beer. It was root beer that I could have got from the vending machine if I broke into it hard enough. I was so angry. I just had an absolute meltdown for a good hour, just thinking it was root beer the whole time.
Have you ever actually tried root beer?
Never.
You know what? Hold that thought. Okay, I managed to take a very quick trip out to Asda, and I managed to find Australian root beer.
Family-owned Australian root beer.
Bundaberg.
Bundaberg.
I've got a few bottles of this, and I'm going to try this on the podcast.
Right.
Jen's first interaction with root beer. Bottoms up.
Cheers. Tastes like cough medicine.
It does taste like mouthwash, doesn't it?
No wonder ghost pirates melt and disintegrate the minute it hits their skin.
We'll have to take the cannibal's advice and try it with vanilla ice cream. A series of words that I thought I would never say in my life, yet here we are.
Yes. It's disgusting. I'm sure it's not the Bundabergs' fault, but it's just what root beer tastes like.
So you fire the root beer at LeChuck and he explodes. An act you get to see happen 3 times.
They insist on replaying it just to hurt me personally.
Yeah, you get an instant replay where it rewinds and does it again. But the fact remains, you've saved Melee Island.
Kind of.
You've saved the governor.
Kind of.
You've saved Monkey Island.
Kind of.
Your crew are now being held by the cannibals, but, you know.
As good as they deserve, as I've said.
And it just rests on Guybrush to give his final line, where he talks about what he's learned from this whole adventure.
Never pay more than $20 for a computer game.
That is advice I still live to this day.
It's a really nice visual to end the game on. There's some meetings with various pirates, like the Swordmaster and Governor Marley, where it just looks really good.
There's a lot of face-to-face interactions in this game. They do have this great art style. When they made the special edition that came out in 2009, they redid all the art to the game. It's a lot more cartoony and it's not as nice a style as the original game. It's got such this loving romantic charm of graphics that could only come from the 16-bit era.
Yeah.
But that's it. You've beaten Secret of Monkey Island.
Yeah!
How do you feel at the end of that?
I feel like a real pirate. Although I probably would have still bought the pirate hat anyway, because why wouldn't you want to dress up as a pirate?
Looking back at your time with Monkey Island, what really stands out about your experience?
So, I mean, there's this portion of the episode where I can talk my literary analysis. Might as well use my English literature degree.
I absolutely welcome you taking these games as more of a real consideration at the end. We did it at the end of the Mario one, but I'd love to get you to do this now at the end of every episode.
There's a lot of breaking the fourth wall in Secret of Monkey Island.
Yeah, it's very blatant that he knows he's in a computer game.
Yeah, I mean, hence why, you know, the remark at the end. Breaking the fourth wall does have its roots in the asides and soliloquies in early theatre. So think like William Shakespeare, Ben Jonson, Christopher Marlowe.
Mm-hmm.
Asides are used for a laugh. It's to engage the audience, bit of rapport. There's lots of times where Guybrush looks at the audience and just says a certain thing. Like, at the start of Act 4, for example, you come back to Melee Island and he looks at the camera and says,
well, that certainly was easier than the trip to Monkey Island.
In the Laurel and Hardy films, Oliver Hardy would always look at the camera whenever something bad happens to him and he just stares at the audience like, ugh, this again. And lots of Mel Brooks films and, of course, Monty Python.
Yes. Of all the origins you're saying there, I feel Monty Python is the one that shines through the most.
Yeah, but I do think that all of these modern references, they do come from early theatre.
Oh, they absolutely do.
And your soliloquies are more great drama. Like, think The Big Short, where they're explaining to you how the 2008 financial crash happened.
I think with Monkey Island, though, I can't think of any other games at the time. It seemed so aware that you were playing a video game.
Was that like a first?
No, it's not first. I think to get a better understanding of the history of adventure games, once we're a bit further into this podcast, we might have to go back and play a text adventure.
Just to see, what it's like and its artistic merit.
And if we do, I feel like we have to play the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy game that was written by Douglas Adams.
I love those books. That'll be a nice wee trip for me.
The humour in that game was super aware that it was from a video game. It plays with that concept in such an amusing way that, again, I would bet dollars to donuts that it was an inspiration for some of the humour in Monkey Island.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Now that we end the game, though, I have to ask you one last question. What is the secret of Monkey Island?
There's not very many monkeys in it. There's only like 2 monkeys. There's the one that helps you get into the monkey head thing, and the 3-headed monkey. And that's it.
Are you sold on that being the secret of Monkey Island?
I don't know. Is there a secret of Monkey Island?
Yes. Do you want to know the answer?
Yeah, go for it.
So would I. Because only one person knows on Earth right now. Apparently, the real secret of Monkey Island has never been revealed. Ron Gilbert was saving it for the 3rd game, but unfortunately, he left LucasArts before the 3rd game was made.
Right, okay.
So while there has been other Monkey Island games without Ron Gilbert, none of them have been made with the original creators and have all lost that original spark.
Yeah, I would imagine that would happen.
Ron Gilbert did send a tweet a few years ago trying to petition Disney, who now own Monkey Island through the Lucasfilm deal, to try and get the rights back so he can make the real 3rd game that he always envisioned.
A bit like how James Cameron made the 3rd Terminator movie he had always envisioned.
Yeah. Until then, though, the secret of Monkey Island is kind of a little bit of a guess. The best a lot of people have theorized is that the entire thing is a theme park. I don't want to spoil too much more because this is going to be something that comes up in the 2nd game.
Right,
and
okay.
while I've not done the 3 gen questions, I can already imagine what the answer to the future gens question is going to be. Speaking of, we do have to go through the 3 gens.
Yes. The staple of the end of every episode.
Yes. I have had some feedback since the first episode that doing the 6 questions was a little too much. I've done it now as 1 question for each section, but I have made them quite broad to try and get the same answer. So for last gen, has the game lived up to your expectations? And do you now understand a bit more of the culture around the game?
The game actually surpassed my expectations in a lot of ways. I was expecting it to be fun, but I wasn't expecting it to be as funny as it is.
The humour in it is on point.
Yes. But as for references to the game, I don't know if many of our friends and things have talked about it. I watch a bit of Scarfulu, so I know like a little bit about point and click adventure games, but hearing about it from a distance is different to actually being part of a group of people who play point and click adventure games.
Okay. Going into current gen, do you feel it holds up as a classic, and would you change anything about the game?
Yes, it holds up very much as a classic. I think genuinely it's underrated, to be honest.
Very underrated, yeah.
I don't know what would need change. As much as I got frustrated, it was good. It was part of the game. It made me feel things.
Well,
and the fact that there were parts I did get frustrated about is a good thing.
Is there anything mechanical that you didn't like then that you want to see changed?
No, not really.
There is one thing that's in the special edition that we didn't obviously come across, where they started putting in hints.
I think some hints would have helped, but at the same time, the puzzles, I think they were quite accessible. You need some things to be tricky in order for there to be challenge. You need challenge in a video game. And too many hints about means that you're not going to get it. That's what game walkthroughs are for.
Yeah.
To have those in-game is kind of pretty rubbish, actually.
I know. I still play games like Phoenix Wright. And
Phoenix Wright is so cute. I love it.
That's definitely going across this podcast in the future.
Yeah.
But there's no more satisfying feeling than being able to solve the mystery and not need to look up a guide. It's such a rewarding emotion that I understand having hints there can detract that a little bit. To the next gen, would you recommend this game to a newcomer? And are you interested in trying other games in the series?
Yes. I really, really recommend this to a newcomer. I recommend this to everyone. I want to emphasise, I don't want this game to be lost to time.
No, this game does not deserve to be the obscurity it's became.
I think that people should go and play it the way we've played it, which is the best way, because you get the great looking graphics and you get the great sounding voice acting. Get yourself a copy. Point and click away.
It's a pain in the ass that they've not done a version with the original graphics and the voice lines. I understand there's people out there who don't like the voice lines. That's fine. I've met very few people who like the graphics of the special edition.
It gives me Illumination Animation's adaptation of the Addams Family vibes.
Yes. If there's ever an icon of PC gaming from that era, it is Secret of Monkey Island. And it is Guybrush Threepwood. Why the fuck is he not made it into a Smash Brothers game yet?
I'd like to see that Guybrush in a Smash Bros. Game. Gotta press a button for the insults.
Guybrush Threepwood was actually referenced in an Uncharted game, weirdly enough.
Really?
The fourth one's all about pirates, and it's a bit where you're looking up famous pirates of the time. But one of the pictures that are in there is this unknown pirate that the main character doesn't know, who has a signet of a monkey. And the picture is of Guybrush Threepwood.
That's amazing.
So he has this noteworthiness that goes through gaming and needs to be remembered.
Yeah, needs to be more mainstream for absolute sure.
I think it's then fair to say you want to try the sequel.
I want to see where the story goes. I've really enjoyed it. I know there's one of the games you have to defeat certain pirates through rhyme.
Yes, I think I have played the pirate song from the third game for you before.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's been a couple of times we've watched that.
I'm glad you came away from this game with a recommendation.
Yeah, play it, get your friends to play it, get their friends to play it, show it to your mom or your granny, go for it, go mad.
For now though, let's announce our next episode.
Ooh.
We're going to be leaving the living room behind, and we don't need to worry about messing around with Nintendo Online nonsense or emulators. I've got my hands on 2 functioning Game Boy Advance consoles, and you and I are taking a handheld adventure through one of gaming's greatest franchises with Pokemon Fire Red and Pokemon Leaf Green.
Yeah!
To everyone listening, we would love to feature your thoughts and experiences of the game. Please send your emails to starterquest@gmail.com or send your tweets to StarterQuest with the hashtag StarterQuest with your thoughts on Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green, or just the Pokemon franchise in general, and I'll try to read out a few at the end of our next episode for me and Jen to get an understanding as to how that game has impacted through the generations it's existed. For now, I also want to thank you for listening. Please take your time to leave us comments and reviews. It always helps us get noticed. A big thank you goes out to Rosovian for this episode's theme song, Late in the Caribbean, available over at ocremix.org. Until next time, when we're going to start swinging our Pokeballs around the Kanto region, it'll be a goodbye from me, Alessandro.
And a goodbye from me, Jen.
Quest completed. Do what you want, 'cause a pirate is free. You are a pirate. Yar, fiddly-dee. Being a pirate is alright with me. Do what you want, 'cause a pirate is free. You are a pirate.